In this video, I'm going to be talking about a couple of the features that you can do with strings, like indexing, and also slicing. So, let's make a string variable, and let's call this string variable, let's call it Jitty is amazing, because I am amazing. And let's go ahead and print out this string. Okay, I have really bad typing. Let's go ahead and print out this string. Jitty is amazing. Jitty is amazing is printed, which makes sense. But here's the thing about the string. This string is technically a list of characters. Now, I'm not certain on the very low level of things if it actually is a list of characters, but you can treat it as a list. Each character here has its own index, and each of the characters is a value inside of that list. So for example, if I print out the first index of the string, if I treated the string as a list of characters, I would print out the capital J, since J is the first character of the string. Now, what if I wanted to print out A? Well, if I wanted to print out A, I would look at the indices. So J is index 0, I is 1, T is 2, index 3, index 4, the space is index 5, index 6, index 7, index 8, and index 9. So if I were to print out index 9 of this string, I would print out A. Since A is at index is the 10th character of the string, which means it's at the 9th index, since indices start at 0. So strings can be treated as lists. Now, what if you wanted to print out some specific part of the string, some specific section, like this is? What if you wanted to print out is here? Well, if I wanted to just print out is, I would look at the index of I. So index of I is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I starts off at index 6, and I would put a colon, and then I would put index 8. So index 8 is when the string is cut off, when we stop printing. Keep in mind, you aren't actually going to print out index 8 here. So if you write down 6 to 8, you're only going to print out 6 to 7 technically. 8 is just the end point. What we print out is, notice how when I highlight this, there's no space after. If I were to put a 9 here, then you'd be able to highlight the space afterwards, meaning I printed the space after the is. Now what if I wanted to print out the amazing part? So if I wanted to print out the amazing part, I could look at this. So index A is 9, right? So we start off at 9, and then the end is index 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So if we wanted to print out to the very end, we would put 9 to 15, 9 to 16, sorry, since we end off at the end, and we'll print out the entire amazing. If we wrote down 17, let's see if we get an error. Yeah, it just prints out nothing after that. So, I mean, I guess you could just put 100 here, and I didn't actually know that, I'm not gonna lie, I just found that out. I guess you could put 100 here and you'd be able to print the end of the string. But what if you just wanted to print out from some index to straight to the end of the string? You can leave the colon completely empty. If you leave the colon empty, you print out everything past index 9. Index 9 and everything past it. Okay. So if I wanted to print out, let's say, everything past was index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I wanted to print out everything past is, then you just write down 6 and then a colon and nothing after it. That's the same for if you wanted to print out anything before. So if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to print out everything before Jitty. So index Y is 4, therefore we should put 5 here, since this is where we want to end our string print on. And then we don't put 0, we just leave it completely empty. By default, it's just simply 0. We're printing out Jitty here. So this right here, it's a very, very useful tool. Now, here's another thing that you could do. Let's go ahead and leave everything empty and print out from the start to the end. Okay, so if we leave the first colon section empty, it's just from the start. If we leave the second section of the string empty, prints out to the very end. All right, so what if we put 2 here? If we put 2, we simply print out every single second character. So we start off at J, and when we print J, we skip 2 indices. So we ignore the I, and then we print T, which is what happens here. And then next, we ignore this T right here, and then we print the Y, which is what happens. We ignore the space, and then we print out I, which is what happens. And then we ignore the S, and then we print out the space, which is what happens. So if you put the 2 at the very end, right, of these colons, then you're simply printing out every single second character. You can do this for 3, so you can print out every 3rd character, right? And you can print out every 4th character if you want. Now, what's actually nice about this string indexing or slicing, I don't know the name, doesn't matter, is that you can set negative values. So let's say you want to print out from the very beginning 0 to, let's say, -1. So let's put -1 here. What will -1 do? Well, -1 isn't a real index, right? -1's outside the list. I thought it was outside the list. No, it isn't. You would actually print out everything negative from 0 to the second to last, well, I guess the very last index. So -1 is treated as the last index. In this case, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So if I were to put 15 here, index 15 is the same as index -1 in this string, right? And it would print out the same exact thing. If I want to compare it side by side for you guys, like this, right? They're the same thing. So you could do this. You can use negative numbers. You can also use negative numbers for the order in which you print. So remember how I said that you can print every single second letter, right? You can actually print out the string backwards by using -1. So -1 here, by leaving the colons, the second input and the first input and the second input empty, you just recognize the beginning and the end of the string. If you put -1, you can actually print the string backwards. So strings are treated as lists, and you can do things with them, and you can print them like so. Now, let me cover some of the potential things that you might run into. So, of course, some of the potential cases. What if you put in 7 and 6? So 7 is clearly an index after 6. So what, we're going to print numbers between 7 and 6, right? That makes no sense. 7 is a number after 6. So if we print it, nothing happens. You won't get an error, right? It's just you'll print nothing, all right? And what if you put -1 here, and let's say you put 6 here? All right. Again, nothing happens since -1 technically counts as 15 in the string, index 15. Remember, this G is index 15 inside of the string. So -1 technically is replaced with 15, and 15 through 6, same analogy, 7 and 6. Since 7 is greater than 6, you're going to print nothing. Now, you can actually put -1 to, let's put -6 to -1, right? That just means we're printing from 1 index -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So M to G, right? So M to G, right? This index makes sense. -6 starts at the M, so we print out M including. But since -1 is the N bound, we don't print out the G, right? So these are just a couple things that you could run into. Keep in mind, this could be used in a different way. I think there's a built-in function called slice. I'm not certain what it does, but it essentially does the same thing as what you've been typing inside of the string thing, right? So I guess you don't really have to worry about that. But as always, if you have any questions, put it in the comment section. And if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing and liking the video. Thanks for watching.